海藻は青く見えるさ。
陸に行くのは大きな間違い。周りを見てごらん、この海の底。
Hey, and welcome back to part 2 of Pedigrees. Today we're going to take a look at the X-linked mode of inheritance. There are two modes within the X-linked mode of inheritance, and that is X-linked dominant and X-linked recessive. Alright, let's take a look at an X-linked dominant pedigree. Some of the characteristics are that the trait is common in the pedigree. If we take a look, 2 of the 4 children have this trait, and also the male who marries into the family has the trait, and 2 of their offspring do. So you can see that this trait is common. The second characteristic is that all infected fathers, or all fathers that are affected by this gene, will pass it on to their daughters, because they only have one allele to pass down from the X-linked chromosome. So both of these females will have it because the father has that gene. Males and females are equally likely to be affected by this. This is just a small sample in a pedigree, but you can see that we have 4 females and 2 males, so they are both showing that both males and females can be affected by this trait or gene that's being passed. Alright, to determine whether the disorder is dominant or recessive, or the trait is dominant or recessive, we could take a look at these couple of statements here. If the disorder is dominant, one of the parents must have it, and we have that, so the answer is yes, so it can be dominant. If the disorder is recessive, neither parent has to have the disorder because it could be heterozygous, so yeah, it still could be dominant or maybe even recessive, so we have to go to the next statement. Dominant results in more females affected, or a 50-50 split, and that is shown here. We have 4 females to 2 males that are seeing it, so we do have an X-linked dominant trait being passed down here. So the mode of inheritance is X-linked dominant. Alright, let's do the X-linked dominant pedigree proof. Remember that all the males will only have one allele because their second chromosome is a Y, which will be passed from their father. So all females will have 2 chances, there are 2 alleles, and all males will have 1. So in this case, we're doing X-linked dominant, so we know that this female has at least 1 dominant allele. Alright, the X's represent the X chromosome, and the A is the allele that's on that chromosome. The reason why I put a dash here is because we do not know whether that is another big A or a small a. And sometimes when you fill out the pedigree, you can trace back to that and figure that out. The male has only 1 allele on the X, and that's a little a because it's not shaded in, and the Y is the chromosome that his father passed down to him. If we go to the next one, we know that this male must have a big A, and the male is getting that from mom and getting the Y from dad. Now the female is going to have 1 big A and 1 small a because dad only has a little a to give, and we know that mom's giving the big A because it's shaded in. This male here is getting a little a because it's not shaded. So now if we wanted to, we could go back and fill out this dash to be a little a, because the only way for this male to be unshaded is if mom had a little a, because dad's going to pass down the Y chromosome. And because we know now that this is a little a and dad has a little a, this is possible. And this female marries in a male that has a big A because he's shaded in with his Y chromosome. And if we take a look at their offspring, we know it's going to be a big A from the dad, a little a from the mom, a little a from the mom, a Y from the dad, big A from dad, little a from mom, and little a from mom, and a Y from dad. So this is our X-linked dominant proof. We have now proved that a possible mode of inheritance is the X-linked dominant way of inheritance for that trait. We already looked at autosomal diseases and disorders for autosomal dominant and autosomal recessive. The X-linked dominant diseases and disorders are extremely rare. Often in males, the males die before birth, and these X-linked dominant disorders are only seen in females. We have two examples here: skin lesions and bone lesions. Our next pedigree is X-linked recessive. A couple traits about X-linked recessive is that the traits are rare in a pedigree. If we look here, we have a lot of people and we only have 2 males that have that trait that's being passed down. The trait tends to skip generations, so we have our first generation, 1 person has it; second generation, no one has it; third generation, 1 person has it. The affected fathers do not pass this to their sons. And the reason being is because the fathers are passing the Y. So mom is in charge here. Whatever mom passes down to these to the men or the boys will determine whether or not that individual has the disorder or disease. Males are often more affected than females in the X-linked recessive. Alright, we already said that this pedigree is X-linked recessive. We could further provide proof to claim that this is recessive by looking at these statements. The disorder is dominant. One of the parents must have it. Well, we can't rule that out because one of the parents do, so we move to the next one. If the disorder is recessive, neither parent has to have the disorder because they can both be heterozygous. So once again, that doesn't rule either one out, so we go to the third one. Both the answers are yes. Dominant results in more females affected, or a 50-50 split. If more males affected, then it's recessive. So we say that this is recessive because we have 2 males that are affected. So we have 2 males that show the X-linked recessive trait being passed down. Alright, now we have to provide proof that our hypothesis, which is that this pedigree is X-linked recessive, is actually true. So remember that in X-linked disorders or traits that are being passed down, that all the males will only have 1 shot at this because the father will pass down the Y to its son. So this is a male here that has a Y, and because it does have the disorder, we know that the allele is a lowercase a. I'm just using A for every trait being passed down. You could pick whatever variable or whatever number that you would like. Let's take a look at the mom now. We know that the mom has 2 chances because she has 2 X's, and that she has at least 1 capital A because she is not showing that she's affected for that trait. Let's go down to the next one. We know that mom is passing a big A and dad's passing the Y, so that works. Dad's passing the little a, mom's passing the big A, so that works. From here, we know that 1 big A is getting passed by the father, and we're not really sure what is being passed from the mom. It could be a big A or a little a. Either way, this girl is not going to be affected by that gene or trait being passed down. Now the father is getting the Y from the dad and getting the little a from mom, so he is affected. Let's come up to 3 and 4. The male is getting the Y from dad, getting a big A from mom. Mom's giving the big A, and dad is giving the little a. That should show a little a there. We go on to their kids. Dad is going to pass down the big A. Mom is going to pass down either a big A or a little a. And here, dad's passing down the Y. Mom's giving him the big A. If we come over, we have big A, little a, which is doable because Dad is given the little a, mom's given the big A. Dad's given the Y, mom's given the big A, so it's not affected. Here, Dad could be is giving the big A. The mom, we don't know which one she's giving. And here, Dad's passing down the Y, mom's passing down the little a. So this works. This is our proof for the X-linked recessive. We know it's a little tedious at times, but it really you really need to go through the steps to prove that your hypothesis, your mode of inheritance, is correct. And we have gone over 4 different modes now, both of the autosomal dominant, autosomal recessive, and X-linked dominant, X-linked recessive. Here are a list of X-linked recessive disorders: Duchenne muscular dystrophy, color blindness, and hemophilia. Please remember that these are more common in males because they only get one shot at an X allele, and that's being passed down by mom. Where the females get 2 shots because dad is going to pass down an X and mom is going to pass down an X, so they have 2 alleles to get a dominant trait or dominant allele there, so they do not have the disorder condition. Alright, so in the second part of the pedigree lesson, we identified 2 more modes of inheritance, which is the X-linked dominant, X-linked recessive, and we took a look at their diseases and disorders that go with those. So if you have any questions, please bring them to class.